Bring them before us. To be thus is nothing, but to be safely thus. Our fears in Banquo stick deep, and in his royalty of nature reigns that which would fear, 'tis much he dares. And to the dauntless temper of his mind he hath a wisdom that doth guide his valor. To act in safety there is none but he whose being I feared, and under him my genius is rebuked. As it is said, Mark Antony's was by Caesar. He tried the scissors when they first put the name of king upon me, and bade them speak to him, then prophet like they hailed him to father to a line of kings.
Upon my head they placed a fruitless crown, and put a barren scepter in my gripe. Thence to be wrenched with an unlineal hand, no son of mine succeeding. If 't be so, for Banquo's issue have I filed in mind. For them the gracious Duncan have I murdered, put rancors in the vessel of my peace only for them, and mine internal jewel given to the common enemy of man, to make them kings the seed of Banquo kings. Rather than so come fate into the list, and champion me to the utterance. Who's there? Now go to the door, and there till we call. Our fears in Banquo stick deep, and his royalty of nature reigns that which would feared. In these lines, Macbeth is admitting to the readers that he is intimidated by Banquo and his royal nature. They hailed him father to a line of kings. Upon my head they placed a fruitless crown and put a barren scepter in my gripe. The words fruitless and barren are used to say that Macbeth does not and cannot have kids. Barren means cannot produce, and fruitless is just saying that he doesn't have kids. In these three lines, Macbeth is also saying to the audience that he can't have kids. This ties into intimidation because Banquo does have a son, and if Duncan dies, Banquo and Fleance would be next in line according to the prophecies. Macbeth doesn't want that because he wants to be king. Fear. Macbeth keeps repeating the words fear throughout the passage, which shows that he is scared and intimidated by Banquo.
Bring them before us, meaning that Macbeth is afraid of Banquo. Regions that which would fear. Regions is another word for king. And to that dauntless temper of his mind. Dauntless temper meaning fearless disposition. And he's also saying that Banquo does not fear. Whose being I fear, and under him my genius is rebunked, and it is said. Whose being I fear is saying that Macbeth fears for Banquo. And when he says genius is rebunked, he's saying that his spirit is scared for Banquo. And bade them speak to him, then prophet like they hailed him father to a line of kings. Macbeth is saying that he is scared of Banquo, and Banquo is too good to agree with the bad things he is doing.
For Banquo's issues have I filed my mind. This line is saying that Macbeth is threatened by Banquo and his ability to reproduce. With this, he is also saying that he ruined his own peace for the benefit of Banquo. With this metaphor, it is saying that he killed Duncan for Banquo. Put rancors in my vessel of peace, meaning that he poisoned his own drink for the benefit of Banquo. Lastly, with this metaphor, he is saying that he gave his immortal soul, eternal jewel, to Satan or the devil.
To be thus is nothing, but to be safely us. Macbeth says this in fear because he is scared of not safely being king and someone will take his position. Macbeth is happy he's king. It's almost like he's savoring every moment of it. Banquo is intimidated by Macbeth because Macbeth knows his future from the witches, but Banquo doesn't. This section is the beginning of the passage, almost like an introduction. Macbeth is saying how he's scared of Banquo and listing reasons why he is intimidated by him. Make them kings, the seed of Banquo kings. Rather than so, come fate into the list and champion me to the utterance. This is the turning point of the passage, and this is when Macbeth is saying Banquo is more fit to be king than him, and Banquo's son Fleance will be king once Macbeth dies. But then he says instead of watching that happen, Macbeth will kill Fleance so he isn't king.
My genius is rebuked, as it is said Mark Antony's was by Caesar. When Macbeth states this, he is referring to the fact that he feels inferior to Banquo, just as Mark Antony felt similarly inferior to Caesar. For Macbeth's issues have I filed my mind. When Macbeth says this, he is stating how Banquo is the only thing Macbeth can think about, because now Banquo is a threat, and Macbeth is feared by him because Banquo is a threat to Macbeth from taking his crown.